Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. After that presentation, I'm from an EU program, so forgive me if it's not as inspirational as the last presentation. I will talk a little bit about the support that we get to the creative and cultural industries and sectors nowadays from EU. But first of all, it's lovely to be in Oulu. I graduated exactly 29 years ago from the university here as a fresh cultural anthropologist. And I ended up working in creative industries. And I don't know what happened between those 29 years, but here I am uh, explaining EU to all of you. So EIT Culture and Creativity, I will pitch this really shortly before I go to the role of creativity and what power it entails and how we can support it. EIT Culture and Creativity is a pan-European initiative which seeks to support the building of competitiveness of creative and cultural sectors in Europe, within EU and around in the associate countries surrounding EU as well. EIT is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. For Finns, maybe if I tell that it's the European Tekes, that might describe the best what the role of EIT is. It's funded by European Commission, and we in EIT Culture and Creativity, we get the funding from EIT as kind of a subcontracting group of companies and organizations. And we have the permit to use EIT as our topic. And we also have the formula that EIT uses in building different industry sectors. We are the 9th sector in EIT family. And there's also going to be a 10th one shortly, Water KIC. So yes, Water and Maritime KIC is starting soon, headed by University of Aarhus, actually, very close to us. So as said, our mission is to enhance the capability in global competition of creative and cultural sectors. And when I keep repeating this culture and creativity or creative and cultural sectors, I really mean it, because we want to work with both creative industries, but also the cultural side of livelihoods, which are a little bit different from each other. This is why I, for example, asked the question of what is the business model working with museums, because it differs from, let's say, from film and TV production, music, games, for example. We are also enhancing climate neutrality, smart usage of digitalization, and as well as social cohesion within Europe. In today's turbulent world, it's really important also to see the societal aspect, social aspect as well, and think about the opportunities of building communities, strengthening communities, building better living places, and so forth. My colleagues are all over Europe. So we are located in 7 different cities around Europe. I am heading the northern office, EIT Culture and Creativity North in Helsinki, in Kaapelitehdas. We have a team of 3 people there working for the Northern Europe. Then I have colleagues in Amsterdam, Barcelona, Bologna, Vienna, and Košice, working in other regional hubs. And then our headquarters is in Cologne. So we're managed by Germans, so it's very, very well-organized thing that we do. Even if the map is big, and we are around 50, 60 people working for EIT Culture and Creativity at the moment, it is a real hybrid organization. We work on a daily basis with all our colleagues in these different offices. So we share information, we gather information, we match people from different parts of Europe. We also have partners that are paying an annual fee for us, first of all. They are also taking part in our decision making and, data gathering and insight building on creative and cultural sectors. And this is a truly active ecosystem of actors in the field, and we look to grow as well. At the moment, we have some 90 paying partners, universities, research institutes, companies, cultural hubs, public organizations, even cities. And we are constantly growing. What we do in practice is that we support both education, business creation, innovation, and societal transformation. We give out funding for universities and educational institutions. We also give out funding for innovation projects. We support startups and scale-ups and SMEs in creative and cultural sectors to build their business models further, to find investors, to find collaborators, and so forth. We organize incubator and accelerator as well as post-acceleration programs for these companies. And we work in societal transformation in different kinds of pilots. We gather people to talk about policy making. We train transformation agents in cities and regions, for example. We have a cities and regions network discussing how to build European regions, also make it more democratic from perspectives of different regions and so forth. Also, we have so-called strategic topic groups discussing our very strategic topics. So we are kind of crowdsourcing the thinking of our partners and our ecosystem to also plan together with us how to utilize this funding, this instrument that we have at our hands from EIT and from the European Commission, because it's the taxpayers' money that we're using. So it is also a very responsible job. It's a unique opportunity to develop something new, a new infrastructure for European creatives, artists, cultural people. But we also have to be clever in doing that and also gather insight from the field. And this is my job as well, as all my colleagues. We've selected some focal areas. Now we have 5 until the end of 27. That's our first strategy period. Oh, by the way, we started last December, so we're just closing our first year as we speak. So we work primarily with fashion, architecture, cultural heritage, audiovisual and media sector, as well as games. Audiovisual and media sector, including sound and music as well. But yes, we work with these focal areas, but not excluding other creative or cultural sectors, definitely not. We also enhance cross-industry collaboration. That's also very important when we do innovation. When we seek new solutions, it's really, really important to also have exchange between different industry sectors and different cultural and creative industries and so forth. When we talk about creative and cultural professionals in Europe, we are talking around 8 million people working in these jobs, in these industries, in these sectors, which is a substantial economical force. There's a lot of talent, there's a lot of education put into these people, there's a lot of insight with these people, many of them being entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs, sole traders, freelancers, working in SMEs. This is also unique for the creative sectors, that the company sizes are quite small. They are working a lot together. They are forming ecosystems. They are forming project groups in order to share talent, to share risk also business-wise. They also learn from each other, and they can move flexibly within their own profession and from project or case to another by forming these groups of talents very flexibly. This is also something very unique for creative industries, I would state. But because people are working in small entities, and often in companies that are founded by the makers themselves. So the business thinking is not always the primary thing when the company is operating. We lack financial skills, we lack management skills to some extent in these sectors. We also lack a systematic supportive infrastructure for innovation, because there hasn't been, from the livelihood perspective, as we now are working in EIT Culture and Creativity, there hasn't been a wide pan-European infrastructure to support innovation. Except for content production, which Creative Europe is working for. But now we're talking in the EIT culture and creativity world, we talk about building livelihoods, building businesses, providing new skills, upskilling, and so on. So this is what we try to do. So it differs from Creative Europe in the sense that we are kind of supporting the foundations of creative work in all these industries and sectors. Okay, that was my pitch for EIT Culture and Creativity. And by the way, we have a workshop tomorrow morning. It's about our innovation funding, and I know that there are a few posts still open there. So if you're interested in learning how to apply for our innovation project funding, please join us tomorrow morning. Talking about innovation, I wanted to bring this topic here because I think we need to think about a little bit about what is innovation and when is an innovation, because as a cultural anthropologist, I was back in the day taught to think that innovation is something that is new, but it's adopted by the community already. So it becomes an invention, becomes an innovation when it's adapted by the audiences, by the fans, by the users. And invention as such is not an innovation. It's not a real life thing yet. It's something that just has been figured out. But the purpose of being is still open, because when it goes out to the market, it becomes then something purposeful, an innovation. And this is something that we need to also remember in creative industries, even if innovation is in the very core of creative work, because it's typically finding new solutions for problems, thinking out of the box, doing something new. A piece of art is always somehow new. For example, it's typically never been copied from somewhere else. Of course, this happens as well. But I mean that in the very core, creative and cultural work is somehow innovative. But it has to also rhyme with your audience or your clients and so forth. And I think that this is embedded in creative work also, that many creative professionals think that they need to provide value for their surroundings. Otherwise, the work has no meaning. I used to run a pre-incubator program in the University of the Arts before joining EIT, Culture and Creativity. That was the University of Arts in Helsinki, UniArts Helsinki. I established a pre-incubator there for artists and cultural professionals, and we made a brief study with the first participants in the pre-incubator, asking that what are the motivational drivers for their work. And apart from, of course, the kind of clear thought of becoming more independent financially if I become an entrepreneur, they said, I need to add value for my community. Whether it being a professional community or the living surroundings or the fans, the audience, the very need of providing something for external people on top of doing something artistically valuable was very, very much involved in these people's thinking when they were thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. So I think it's quite natural for us, but sometimes, especially here in Finland, people love their ideas. It's very hard to kill your darlings. So sometimes we forget that you need to test, fail, retest, adjust. And for example, the Smartify example, finding out how museums work, finding out how to sell best to these museums is exactly that kind of work, that where you go and ask, what would you need? And let's us see, can we bring you a solution? And this is of course part of creative processes. How innovation can be done? It's typically done in some kind of a collaboration, at least with the client or the end user, but also in creative industries, let's say film, TV productions, there are these collaborative groups of producers, subcontractors, different kinds of talents that find the suitable way of providing and producing the end product. So collaboration is really important. Also matching different kinds of skills, matching different kinds of insights. And also to know what's been done before can be very valuable in order to define your own idea for a product or service, or how the earlier cases have been doing on the market as well. It's really, the market research obviously is quite important. And this work can be supported. I don't think we have supported it enough. I've been working with Finnish national government. I've been working with expert associations, and back in the day, Finpro, before Business Finland. I've been exporting together with Nordic countries and so on, and mentoring companies in Estonia, Ukraine, Georgia, and so forth. I don't think that there is enough know-how in creative industry development from the advising side, people like myself. When I was working for the University of the Arts, I ended up lecturing on how to manage your finances daily in a creative company, because for some reason there were no other people who would know how to teach this to artists and cultural people. And I think it's quite descriptive that a humanist like me ended up doing that, just because I had the guts. I don't have a professional self-protection instinct, I think. So I don't think that we have paid attention enough in supporting creative and cultural and artistic companies. We also need to see the infrastructure, how the existing supportive infrastructure works, and how can we develop in order to help the creatives. And of course, money is always involved, so we need to develop also flexible funding mechanisms for creative disciplines, so that they take into account different creative industries' dynamics, because they differ. As I showed you the 5 focal areas, the dynamics among these different focal areas, industries, fashion, games, cultural heritage, they differ greatly from each other. So we need expertise in understanding these different areas. I think that creatives, cultural people, artistic professionals, and the creative skills have a great power because these professionals are typically, they feel the responsibility. They really are, in connection to their environment. And they want to make a change. I remember some 5 years ago when I started hearing this, that all the startups want to save the world, because, of course, due to the environmental issues, for example. I was like, yeah, good. But then I said to myself, what's new? Because in creative industries, I would say that this is a primary motivation for many creatives' work to make a change, to make something better. It is embedded in our work, I would say. So coming back to the question of high expectations and how can you succeed internationally, if I would have a good answer to you, like a full answer, I think I would be enjoying life somewhere else and, heading some bigger organization. So I don't know. But let's go here first. This is not rocket science, but it's a lot of footwork. And sorry, I brought you business model canvas, which is world's most boring template. But I wanted to show you this, that, having already said about knowing your audiences, knowing your product, knowing how it could succeed in the market and doing the research, it's really essential. And it always comes down to the actual product in the end, whether you succeed or not. But you need to know your customers. You need to know what they want. You need to talk to them. You need to open up your ideas to them. That's really, really essential in order to facilitate your existence in the beginning. Maybe later on, when you branded yourself and become, like, for example, this sound tech superstar, then you can start also managing the market when you are really successful. But in the beginning, you need to understand what would be useful for customers. Then you need to tell a good story. It can be an emotional story, or it can be a story about the technology and how we're transforming the world, or whatever. But it needs to be something that sticks to the listener. And also, it has to be distributed from the right channels. Typically for startups, in the very first place, the best channel is face-to-face connections, because then you get genuine feedback. But later on, of course, marketing communications can be so much more, and that's another story then. And then I think this is really, really essential, that you need to reach out to those who help you. They can be somebody giving you business advice, somebody giving you funding. It can be channels to reach out to customers, or somebody who provides you material that you need, or it can be the customer. The customer can be your partner as well, partner in crime in product development. But all this needs a lot of talking, a lot of footwork. For many companies, a lot of pitching in these kinds of environments. And by the way, this kind of a stage can be really, really fruitful for your company to take further and get credibility for your company. If you win the prize, or you can say that I pitched on stage, you're automatically more credible than just somebody coming out of nowhere. But that's my basic message. I have a few minutes, so I can show that video that I already a little bit gave you a small hint. But don't stop dreaming. And I think that these cases that we've heard about today, both of these last keynotes that we heard before, my babbles, they are tremendously beautiful examples of dare to dream big and dare to reach out further. And when you believe in yourself, and when you know that this is going to work, I have a solution for this idea and this business, then just push through it. Of course, world is as it is, and there might be a war all of a sudden, breaking out, or a pandemic breaking out, or whatever. There are serendipity situations on your path. But nevertheless, if you believe in your idea, just go ahead. But look for those collaborators and partners who you can talk to, who you can get help. People are typically helpful. They want to help. This is also in our basic psychology, that people are helpful when you know how to ask for help. And then think big. I want to show you a case from our programs. It's a company called Adire Lounge. I let Cynthia to tell. So that's one case what we're working for on a very permanent basis. Also, we are now introducing Cynthia to investors. We are pooling investors in creative industries at the moment, and so forth. So we want to be also a long-term partner with companies and our partners as well when we do our job. But I invite you to join our Digital Hub community, which is open for anybody to join. You hear our events, about our events and news and the community and so forth on the Digital Hub. And it's free to join, so please stick with us. Thank you very much.